Welcome everyone, StealthyShiroean here, and today I'm bringing you my review of the Humble Choice Bundle for February 2024. Yeah, I'll be frank here and say that this month kinda took a nosedive compared to last month. That said, there are still some good games in this bundle that I enjoyed and some that surprised me. Let me know what you think of this month's bundle in the comments below. Be sure to check the timestamps for specific games and stay tuned for my final thoughts in the end. Okay, let's get to the review. This month, we're starting off with Snowtopia, a tycoon game where you're building and managing your own ski resort. Or, well, I guess you're supposed to be managing it. I felt that that side of the gameplay was fairly bare bones, and it really didn't matter how your skiers felt about your resort. As far as I could tell, there was no currency of any type, or resources that needed to be managed besides having enough workers to operate your buildings. However, calling them workers is generous because they're actually called volunteers. You don't pay them, and you get a new volunteer every few hours in game time, so you never need to worry about your workforce. Although, as previously mentioned, your skiers do have certain needs from your resort, whether that's certain slope difficulties or access to amenities like food and rest. But if they're dissatisfied with your resort, it doesn't seem to matter. The park has a reputation meter, and it seems that I gained reputation slower if more people were dissatisfied. Maybe if enough were unhappy, then I would start to lose reputation, but I'm not sure. I was playing on the easiest map, which also acted as a tutorial though. And on that note, I thought the devs could have telegraphed better for the tutorial. There were many times when I wasn't sure what to click or how to build something, which is why the first 10 or so minutes of my resort, the ski lifts and slopes were pretty stupid until I figured it out later. And not to continue bashing on this game, but the achievements were also completely broken. I got so many achievements for things I never did. Needless to say, I won't be coming back to this one. Next up is Oaken, a turn-based board game card battler set in a world of plant people. Oh, and it's a roguelite as well. So you pretty much know what to expect here. There'll be several runs, and each run you'll get incrementally better with new cards, and of course, better knowledge on how to use them. And maybe you'll get a better RNG in your next run. That said, I liked Oaken's take on the roguelite deck building genre. Here the cards and their acquisition are similar to any other game like it. You have a map of nodes that you select, some of them will have prompts for you to choose for new cards or upgrade material, or it will be a battle that will yield rewards. The difference here is that the battles take place on a board. All of your summons and your hero can move around the board, and they have their facing, which determines where they can attack and counterattack when they're defending. The spells also can only be fired if your hero has line of sight to the enemy, which is up to 3 hexes away. I thought this brought an extra layer of strategy that made this more enjoyable than running through yet another card battler roguelite. Outside of this, the art is pretty good, the story is, well, it has a story that's neither good nor bad. Obviously, the main draw of any of these games in this genre is how well the gameplay is, and I think it's not bad. Probably won't be playing this anytime soon though, but you should definitely give it a go if you like this genre. Children of Silentown is a point-and-click adventure game. Normally this alone would mean that I'd already be predisposed to lukewarm feelings about the game, since those aren't really a genre I care for. But I really like this game. The game follows Lucy, a young girl living in Silentown. This dreary little village is in the middle of a dense forest. People have been going missing, and the rumors are that a monster dwells in the forest, stealing people away after dark. Much of the rules in the village are there to protect people from this threat. The whole atmosphere of the game with the artwork and music conveys a real creepy feeling. I won't say that I was afraid like I might be playing a traditional horror game, but there was certainly a sense of dread at times. The story creates an intriguing setting and did enough to make me want to play more and see what happens to Lucy and the others in the village. As far as gameplay goes, you collect items and have to use them in various ways in order to solve puzzles throughout. Luckily, I didn't come across anything too challenging, and I felt the game did enough to provide hints for the player. Since I'm a fan of spooky stories, I can see myself coming back to finish this despite not being a fan of the point-and-click variety. Following up is There Is No Light, an action RPG following a father trying to reclaim their kidnapped child. If we're solely looking at the game's pixel art, then I'd say it's pretty good. A lot of detail is put into the environments, which evoke a post-apocalyptic world mixed with fantasy elements, The animations for the characters are also similarly well done. Outside of that, everything is mediocre at best. The story starts with the protagonist's wife and child being stolen away by what I think are a group of religious fanatics. Everyone and everything else he's ever cared about is dead and destroyed. So naturally, this is a story of revenge and trying to rescue the one thing that matters to him, his child. Because I guess his wife died somewhere later on, it wasn't really clear. Anyway, it falls apart quickly after that as the game starts shoving its lore down your throat. You start with a short opening, learning the game's controls, and then they decide the game's writing couldn't be wasted, so they then proceed to use the next 20 or so minutes setting the stage with dialogue. Admittedly, much of this could be skipped, but then you'd miss the relatively pointless black and white dialogue choices they give you. The combat is basic. It's the classic let's be a Souls-like game, but without really understanding what makes it fun. Here the combat consists of attacks to build up your special attack, dodge, repeat, and if your special attack is active, then use that. There's a bit more with timing based on the telegraph above the enemies' heads, but that could easily break down in a fight with a ton of mobs. Apparently, the Steam page boasts a unique system where you could seamlessly switch between 4 different weapons. That actually does sound like it might be fun, but I don't know how many will stick with the game long enough to get to that point. I might come back to try and give it another chance, but I don't really know that I'd recommend this one. Beacon Pines has been one on my wish list for a while, and I'm happy to finally get the chance to play it. In a similar theme to Children of Silentown, Beacon Pines is a small town beset with missing people, and a kid is the protagonist trying to figure out what's going on. While this game is similar in theme and how it plays, the art style is a lot different with bright colors and a cartoony look to the characters and environments. It's charming to say the least. More notably is Beacon Pines' approach to storytelling. It starts as literally a book being read to you by a narrator. As a narrator, she does a wonderful job making it sound like an audiobook experience.
Luca felt a chill as he approached Beck. Her eyes were locked on the strange green liquid. The nearby grass was coated in a fine layer of frost. Luca watched as Beck dipped a broken tree branch into the goo. Beck's eyes widened as flowers grew from the...
She's the only voice actor for the game as far as I could tell, with the speech between the anthropomorphic characters being an Animal Crossing type of garble. Players will explore around seeing the story play out and discovering various charms. These charms are gained mainly through interacting with various objects. The cool thing about them that separates this game from a point-and-click is the turning points. At various points throughout the game, you could slot various charms to have different outcomes. Apparently, as you progress, this can have further-reaching ramifications to the story. Luckily, the game keeps track of which ones you use so that you could jump back to various points and see all the outcomes with the charms. On top of this brilliant mechanic, I enjoyed the writing and the art. I found myself chuckling along with some of the banter and definitely will be coming back to play this one in the nearest future. Well, here we are again, 2 years later with Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed, another remake of the Destroy All Humans franchise. Back in April of 2022, we received the first of the remakes, and funny enough, what I said then still applies to this sequel. I didn't actually notice that much different from the first game, but full disclosure, I've only played just the hour I did for the review in the last one. Here it's much the same. You're an alien bent on wreaking havoc on us pesky monkeys through means of zapping us, flinging us around with telekinetic powers, and sucking out our brains for DNA in the player's flying saucer. One difference I did notice was the world space was a lot bigger this time around. At least in the beginning missions, it takes place in a small bayside town with different factions of people wandering around, being hippies, cops, soldiers, and Soviet KGB agents. I had fun jetpacking around the city and taking on human personas to blend in with the bipedal mammals. The humor here was really off for me and honestly pretty dated. In fact, the game even opens with a message saying as such. The story and just about everything with the dialogue just isn't for me. But the gameplay and aesthetics, as with the last one, were fun and engaging. I don't know that I'd ever return to this, and given that I still haven't with the first one, it's safe to say I probably won't. despite this being a fun, turn your brain off kind of game. The penultimate game of the bundle is Scorn, a first-person horror adventure game in the words of their Steam page. Scorn throws you into the deep end as you control an unnamed character in an alien and very disturbing world. There's no overt storytelling, notes, or seemingly any dialogue at all to inform the player as to where they are or what's going on. Instead, any storytelling is executed through the game's excellent environmental design. If you're a fan of cosmic horror, alien-looking worlds, and/or disturbing aesthetics, then this game has you covered. Everything feels appropriately ancient and foreign from each of the different areas to the main character themselves. The gameplay seems to be focused largely on exploration and figuring out the various puzzles each area has. I did have a brief moment of combat, and judging from their Steam page, it seems like there's more to come, but it's definitely not a focus, so don't go into this expecting to be shooting monsters apart. I feel really torn on this one. On one hand, I love cosmic horror, and I don't mind my horror getting a bit disturbing, but I don't really like body horror, which this game uses a lot. And while I like the ambiguity usually seen in the cosmic horror genre, I'm not really a fan of complete ambiguity with no direct storytelling at all. I don't know. What I do know is that despite this, I still felt compelled to keep playing by the time I finished my hour. Clocking in at about 6 hours, as noted by how long to beat, I think I'll consider giving this one a full playthrough in the future just to see what I ultimately think about it. Life is Strange True Colors wraps up the bundle with its signature brand of storytelling adventure. And wow, I really enjoyed my time with it. The game follows Alex, who's reuniting with her brother after spending years in the foster care system. It's revealed early on that Alex has some kind of emotional baggage, but that she sees living with her brother as a fresh start for her life. As is typical with the franchise, Alex has a bit of a supernatural power, and this time it's that she could feel the emotions of others and get insights to their thoughts. This can be useful to determine what people might be thinking, but it comes with a huge caveat because she also takes on the emotions of others she's channeling. It seems that she has problems controlling this ability, which has led her to bouts of rage or depression depending on who she's around. Honestly, I didn't expect to enjoy this game as much as I did. The dialogue between characters was great, and there is noticeable boost in quality through the animations and scenery than in past games. I don't know if it's because of different developers or because there's so much time in between games, but I think the step up is great. Seriously, the small town Rocky Mountain community is gorgeous, and it really takes me back to driving through areas like that. I had to stop myself from playing after I had already played for about an hour and a half in order to continue working on the review. I definitely want to find the time to play this one. Oh, and if you haven't already done so, I'd recommend going into the game blind. Don't read the store page. I did after I was done with my hour, and was kind of bummed that it revealed a spoiler. Probably something that happened in the first couple hours, but still. I didn't expect it since I had no prior knowledge. So, just a warning. Okay, let's wrap this up and see if this bundle is worth it or not. I based my rating solely on whether I thought the game was worth playing on about an hour or so of hands-on gameplay. Also, I'd be grateful if you could please give the video a like if you're enjoying it, because that really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm gods. Overall, like I said at the start of the video, this is a fairly weak month. I'm reluctant to say it's the weakest month in recent memory because I honestly only remember last month, but it feels that way. A couple games that I know I will absolutely not touch again, and several that just have me on the fence as to when and if I'll give the time to play them again. But these things are very subjective. Let me know, was this a good month for you? I'm really curious to hear what others thought about it. But getting into the recommendations, let's start with the must-plays. This month we have two, with Beacon Pines and Life is Strange True Colors. In Beacon Pines, I really love the unique mechanic with placing in different charms to see how the story plays out, and allowing you to progress further. And the writing and narration is really well done and compelling for me. Life is Strange True Colors was another very strong narrative-driven game. The characters felt realistic to me, and even the game's environment makes me want to go back and see more. For my strong recommendations, I placed Children of Silentown. Children of Silentown really impressed me as a point-and-click adventure game, and I liked the horror aspect to its story. Following up with the week recommendations this month are Scorn, Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed, and Oaken. Scorn is expertly done for what it's trying to be and the feelings it wants players to go through when playing. However, I'm not sure that I'm the target audience, and admittedly, I'm a bit squeamish at times. Destroy All Humans 2 is more of the same from the first game for what I can tell. It's fun, but the writing just isn't my cup of tea. Finally, Oaken has a fun take on the deck builder roguelite genre, but once again, in a vast sea of them, I'm unsure if this really stands out to me over the others. The board game tactical combat does help set it apart though. And in my Don't Bother With section for this month are Snowtopia and There Is No Light. Snowtopia just doesn't do it for me. It feels half-baked to what otherwise could be actually a fun idea for a tycoon game. There Is No Light has a really slow start with combat that I didn't particularly care for. Maybe it gets better later and that might be worth checking out, but I don't see myself coming back to this for a long time. If ever. And that wraps up my thoughts on this month's bundle. A bit of a dip, but not altogether horrible. Do you agree with my thoughts? What games, if any, are you looking forward to playing? Let me know what your thoughts are, if there are any different recommendations you'd make in the comments below. I hope this video helped you in some small way, and if it did, then please consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, or whatever it is you feel like doing. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day.